Davy Fitz is reportedly very, very close to agreeing his position as the next Dublin senior hurling manager. It says here from the Clare Times, breaking news, Davy Fitz to be the next Dublin manager. It's believed Dublin chairman Mick Sievers has agreed a package to entice Davy Fitz to be their next manager. Davy will be a popular choice for a county desperate for hurling success. All at the Clare Times wish Davy well. And certainly just a very quick video this morning, obviously quite early on in the morning here, Wednesday morning. I hope everyone's keeping well who's watching live. But look, Davy Fitz, for me, he has to become the next Dublin manager. This has to happen, in my opinion. Look, I don't think anyone necessarily, I think Matty Kenny in his 4-year tenure, I think he's done well as Dublin manager, like, make no mistake about it. And obviously when you look at his success from when he managed Coola, and his connections in the game, and I think he's done a good job with Dublin. He's obviously very much oversaw a big transition really from that sort of 2013 crop that won the Leinster title. You've had a lot of lads getting older, players opting out, well, not necessarily opting out, but retiring and all the rest. He's had to bring through younger lads, as we've seen that, and he's had to make a lot of changes to this Dublin side. And for me, Davy Fitz, as it's been said, we obviously seen him on the Sunday game, and certainly he was, as Henry Martin says here, Davy Fitz is probably just applied for the Dublin job on the Sunday game. Heartfelt anguish at where they currently stand, in a video playbook manual on how they can improve in-game situations. But as I said, look, I think for Matty Kenny, this is his 4th year in charge. When you look at it in the cold light of day, 2 very good wins against Galway, but other than that, there hasn't really been too much. A couple of good league performances. You obviously had that win against Wexford this year, but ultimately led to nothing. And there has been a little bit of underage success there in the last couple of seasons. 2020, for example, Dublin reached an under-20 All-Ireland final and beat Galway in the process, before eventually losing to Cork in that delayed final. So, look, Davy Fitz, he is a man that certainly splits a lot of opinion. And for Dublin fans, alike, I could understand why a lot of people maybe wouldn't want him become Dublin manager, because there is sometimes a certain amount of baggage with Davy Fitz, and sometimes it can be the Davy Fitz show. You see that sometimes in interviews where he can go on and make it about himself and everything else and different sort of circumstances. So sometimes there can be an element of that about him. But look, for me though, he has to become Dublin manager, and for the simple reason is that he is a born winner. This guy knows how to win trophies. This guy knows how to win tournaments. Look at his time with Waterford. He obviously retires as goalkeeper with Clare. Straight away, without a break, goes straight into the Waterford job. And within a matter of weeks, within a matter of months, he makes them reach their first All-Ireland final in 40 years. And this was back in 2008. Now, you will say that All-Ireland final didn't go well at all. They were absolutely demolished by Kilkenny in the final. But, clearly from taking charge, there was a bounce there. There was something that worked. The players bought into a system. And let's not forget as well, a couple of years later, he won Waterford a Munster title in 2010, which was certainly a huge achievement. He obviously then goes to Clare. And Clare, look, as we know, they'd had a couple of underage players coming through. They won an under-20 All-Ireland in that same year in 2013, but he really did guide them to the next level, and obviously winning their first All-Ireland since 1997 after a replay. Huge achievement for Clare hurling, and as we very well know, it's been the only All-Ireland Clare have won since 1997, and that very much speaks volumes, in my opinion. He goes into a Waterford side that had been struggling really to get to All-Ireland finals, to do much. He gets them to an All-Ireland final. He takes over Clare and he delivers the biggest honour that you can deliver in an All-Ireland. And yes, in the years after that, it didn't quite work out maybe the way Davy Fitz would have loved, the way Clare would have loved. I think a lot of people expected maybe Clare to kick on and maybe win another one, and it didn't quite work out that way. And sometimes these are the things that can happen. And you look at some of the young players that he brought through in that season as well. Tony Kelly, for example, Shane O'Donnell, who was absolutely extraordinary. Really just getting the best out of some of the players that came into that Clare side. When he takes over Wexford, it was certainly an appointment that surprised a lot of people. obviously taking charge in 2016. And people forget, before he took charge of Wexford, they were very much in the doldrums. They were struggling. Wexford were nowhere near the heights that they've set sort of this year, and obviously in the last couple of years. They very much were, out of the mix in many people's eyes in the Leinster Championship. They were miles off, and, gradually he was able to build them up and, getting some big results. I remember to beat Kilkenny for the first time in their history in 13 years in the Championship. First time in 13 years, I should say, in the Championship. Obviously getting to a Leinster final, I think it was 2018? And then obviously going again in 2019 and winning the competition, their first Leinster title in 20 odd years. So, like a huge, huge achievement to do that with the Wexford hurlers, to do that with the Clare hurlers, and to do that also with the Waterford hurlers. And I think if you give him the job at Dublin, I think if Matty Kenny does step away or is moved on or whatever sort of circumstance that comes to, and now look, that's definitely going to be an interesting topic, most certainly. But I do think after 4 years, it probably is time for a change. Probably is time for something a little bit different. Time for someone else to come in and sort of take the mantle. And I think for Davy Fitz, when you look at what he done with Wexford, him coming into Dublin, as I said in the podcast on Monday, I think this would be the best thing to happen to the Dublin hurlers since 2013, since that Leinster title success, because he will elevate these players. And yes, there has been a talk. Obviously, me and Matthew spoke about it on the podcast on Monday as well, and we were sort of saying, well, Dublin, the defense isn't the issue. Defensively they're quite strong. They were able to shut out Galway, for example, albeit Galway missed a penalty in terms of a goal. Defensively, we've done very well. Now, Kilkenny, we weren't good defensively at all. We were all over the place. But that just seems to be the way when we play Kilkenny. You've seen some of the great defensiveness in there against Wexford, and Owen O'Donnell, who I think is one of the best fullbacks in the country. Really like the look of Dara Gray in there as well. So some very, very good hurlers in around the back. Obviously, going forward, that has been the issue for Dublin. 1 goal this year in the Leinster Championship speaks volumes, but I think he would get more out of this side. He would create more chances, Davy Fitz, and he would just raise levels, raise this Dublin side by an extra 5 to 10%. And you look at players, obviously Donald Burke, who we know is an extraordinary talent for this Dublin side, but you look at some other players in there that I think he could certainly improve and get more out of, the likes of Ronan Hayes, who's been extraordinary at club level, but for whatever reason, it just hasn't quite happened this year for Dublin, unfortunately. That's sometimes those things happen. Rian McBride, very good player coming through at under 20 level. Danny Sutcliffe, on his day, absolutely incredible. So if they can get the best out of him, he could certainly be a talent, make no mistake about that. But look, just a quick video today. Wanted to gauge your opinions, your thoughts on whether Davy Fitz should become Dublin manager. For me, it has to happen. He has to become the next Dublin senior hurling manager because, as I was saying, an extraordinary manager. You look at what he's done in his 3 roles with Clare, Wexford and Waterford. Look, he's obviously part of the Cork Camogie side at the minute. Maybe he doesn't want to leave that role. Maybe he's happy to step out of management. But I do think, he's exceptional. And I know sometimes, as I said, the argument can be the sort of baggage that he provides and sometimes some of his antics and all the rest. And sometimes it can maybe become a bit of an issue. But I think he will get Dublin very, very close to a Leinster title. Mark my words, if not win it. And I think for Dublin hurling, when you look at Dublin as well, like we are a county that does have a lot of resources. Now, a lot of those resources do go towards the footballers, but there is a lot for Davy to work with. And I think he will get the best out of this team. And mark my words, I'd be very confident that he would succeed in doing something very special indeed. But look, we'll obviously have to wait and see. I think another thing we're pointing out as well is I don't really think he goes anywhere else next year. Obviously Tipperary and Waterford, those 2 vacancies might be open. Does he go back to Waterford? I'm not sure. I'd be surprised Tipperary took him in, given his history with Tipperary. Sort of some of the fights he had against some of those players on the sideline and all the rest. Doubt he goes there. Doubt he goes to Cork if that job somehow comes available. There's nowhere else he goes in Leinster. So, definitely for me, Dublin need to pull the trigger. They need to act on this one and really make a big decision and bring what for me is one of the best managers in hurling at the minute into Dublin. That would be very, very exciting. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, your opinions in the comments down below. Just a quick video today, as I said, in regards to why Davy Fitz needs to be Dublin manager. So let me know your opinions, your thoughts in the comments down below, and I'll see you all soon.